Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, can the Clippers finally get back on track? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be on the lookout for our Dreamerspro Premium community that's launching this week, and also be on the lookout for Dreamerspro.com, which will be coming up shortly after. So anyway, let me just get into this topic here. There's been some days now we haven't had some games. This team has had some days off to finally get some rest. In between all of that, there have been a lot of suggestions what people think should happen. Some rumors have been going around. I even saw some rumors about LaMarcus Aldridge possibly going to the Clippers. A lot of people have said that they would like them to acquire Kyle Lowry, who I think would be a perfect candidate. I just don't understand. I don't see how it's going to be possible. Number one, unless the Toronto Raptors are saying they're going to go into a rebuild, I don't know who the Clippers would have that the Toronto Raptors would want, to be honest with you, and Kyle Lowry to trade him away. Now, unless they want to throw him a bone and say, listen, go join that team because you've been so great to us. We want to give you, help you get another chance to win another title by joining the Clippers. That I can understand, but I don't know how a scenario like that will go down. But some people have been saying that. Some people have also been hitting a panic attack, hitting the panic button quite frequently. You have this crop of viewers that, they'll join your channel when things are going well. The minute things go off, they'll unsubscribe and then come back, and all. There's so many different type of people out there, which is pretty interesting. Anyway, the Clippers they're 3-4 in their last. They've lost three out of their 4 last games, and they've had some tough losses. A tough loss to the Nets, which was a very close game. They lost by 4 points. They had a tough loss to the Celtics, which was another close game that they lost, and one to the Kings. Right, so those were some key losses that they had, and I think they had a bounce back win against after losing to the Nets. They went ahead and beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's the game that Paul George just went off, and he scored 36 points, hitting 8 out of 9 3-pointers. And he was just absolutely unstoppable and showing why he's one of the candidates for MVP this season. But he's been out. So let's talk about some of the issues that this team is currently dealing with right now. They have injuries to their key starters in Paul George and Patrick Beverley. Paul George was having a 50-40-90 season. He's the lead in the team in assists with 5.5 assists. He's a great defender. The team loses, with him, they lose a lot of great playmaking, defense, clutch shooting, 3-point shooting, and all of these different things. With Patrick Beverley out, they also lose a lot of defense. He's a 40% 3-point shooter. If I pull up his numbers here, if I look at his stats, he's averaging 8.1 points, but you don't acquire Patrick Beverley to be a scoring point guard. He gets you 4.4 rebounds, 2.1 assists. He's shooting 40% from the field, but the most important numbers is 3-point shooting, because he's really a spot-up 3-point shooter. He's shooting 41% from the 3, which is good, 76% from the free throw line, which is respectable. And he's getting you one steal a game. But Patrick Beverley also has a lot of intangibles to his game, like his energy, his defense intensity that he uses to get on his teammates and other opponents. That really ramps up the defensive, the competitive fire in his teammates, which is also good. Again, Paul George is averaging 24.5 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 5.5 assists. They're missing those 25 points per game per night. As I said, he's shooting 50% from the field, 48% from the 3, which is just astonishing. 90% from the free throw line, getting you 1.2 steals. So Paul George is a major loss that the team is missing. So that's part of the reasons they've been struggling, because of injuries. Right, injuries have been plaguing the team. I think Patrick Beverley has been out for the last 9 games or so, and Paul George has been out for the last 2, and then he's also going to miss the next 2 coming up on this road trip. So that's one thing. Now, Paul George also being out of the lineup kind of makes up for the flaws of their current point guard play in Lou Williams and Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson is not a very good defender nor playmaker. Lou Williams is not a good playmaker or defender. These are more offensive type of guys, and I don't really trust these guys. But as I said, with Paul George leading that team in assists with 5.5 a game, he kind of covers up some of the lack of playmaking that those guys have. And when you have him and Kawhi Leonard both averaging about above 5 assists per game, you have a lot of playmaking on the court, and that's the reason why you see the 3-point percentages of these guys you really go through the roof, because again, so many clean looks, because of the ability for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to get their shot off the dribble, collapse the defense, draw double teams, which opens up 3-point shooting opportunities for their teammates, which is something they're just not having right now. Kawhi Leonard defenses are now being able to key in on him, and they're able to recover pretty quickly to other shooters like Reggie Jackson. Whereas in the past, if you're keying up on Kawhi, if you're leaving Paul George open, who also draws a double team. So they were always able to put defenses in jeopardy. That's why when both of their stars were healthy, you saw that the Clippers were just very, very good. They were becoming one of the improved defensive teams in the NBA. If I look at the current defensive ranking as far as teams in the NBA, the Clippers are in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're in the top 5. They're number 5, right? We're talking about defensive ranking. So they've been improving their defense. I said earlier in the season, I didn't like the fact that they were giving up so many points per game, but now that number's going back up. It's 107.8, which I don't like. But again, these things can be fixed as a long season. Another issue is Kawhi Leonard, my favorite player in the world, has not been coming up big when you need him in these crunch time moments. One of our viewers pointed out to me that the NBA counts crunch time minutes as anything. The last 4 minutes of the game is now considered crunch time minutes. So he hasn't been his best that he usually is in the past. Now, one reason may be because his body is not used to it. Right, his body may not be used to playing games so close to each other. Because you have to remember, Kawhi Leonard for the past 3 years have load managed. This is the first time in the last 3 years that he's playing games back to back. Basically, playing every single available game on the regular on the schedule. Right? Maybe his body is not used to that, given the fact that he's used to taking off games, and maybe is affecting his legs late in games in these back to backs, or these games being so close together. Last season, you saw him taking off games. Some people said because of his load management and some because of his knee degradation, but in this case, you're not seeing any of that. But I think he needs to get his legs under him, because a lot of his shots have been falling short going to the rim here. So that's something else to look for. Now they're going on a 2-game road trip. They're going to be playing against the Timberwolves and the Chicago Bulls, right? Now, both of these teams are above 500. These are both below 500 teams. They're not very good teams in their respective conferences. However, the Bulls do play hard. I've seen them play the Bulls against, I think once Zach LaVine went off in that game. I think he scored 42 points in that game. Him and Kawhi Leonard were going, shot for shot in that game. So the Chicago Bulls are not to be trifled with. You don't want to overlook them and have a let up. But they're starting off their road trip against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, these are the key things to look for in these games moving forward for these next 2 games in this road trip, given the fact that they're not going to have Paul George. But these 2 teams are a sub 500 team, so they should be able to get these wins. If they focus on these things that I'm going to list out, that I'm going to trot out for you right now. Number 1, they need to focus on making shots. They need to make their shots. Shot making is going to play a key role in these last games. They left a lot of shots at the rim. They just missed a lot of shots. If you look at the last game that they played against the Sacramento Kings, they just missed a lot of shots. Like a lot of shots. You see the ball just go and carom out of the rim and just pop back out. Defense is going to be a key, right? Because you can't guarantee your shot making, but you can guarantee playing hard defense for every single possession. Smart play from your point guards is going to be important in your guards, and limiting turnovers. They have to limit turnovers as much as possible, because these teams are young. They're going to want to get out and run. You saw what the Sacramento Kings did to the Clippers. Basically, they wouldn't allow them to get their defense to set, because the minute the Clippers would score, the Sacramento Kings were trying to get a shot within the first 5 seconds of the shot clock, and they just kept on pushing and speeding up the pace, which would not allow the Clippers to set their defense. So they have to be mindful of that. So one way to limit that is making shots, number 1, so you can set your defense and get back on defense. Number 2, getting back in transition defense. Even if teams try to push the tempo, you want to make sure that you're back on back onto the other side of the court. And secondly, limiting your turnovers, because if you limit the turnovers, you eliminate a lot of those second chance opportunities. And also rebounding, right? You want to make sure that you rebound very well. In this case, you want to rebound by committee, so make sure everybody's out there getting rebounds and really blocking out and making sure that they do those things. If they do these things, I feel pretty confident that the Clippers are going to go 2-0 on this road trip, right? They've had enough days to rest. Their last game was on Sunday. They've had the last Sunday, so they had Monday too. They had the last 2 days off to kind of lick their wounds and recover. So I expect them to do pretty well if they focus on these key things. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think the Clippers now can finally get back on track and start winning games again if they start doing some of the things that I recommended? Or do you think that, listen, we need to be prepared for another letdown? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the next video that we have coming up. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.